up, random rockers? Well, I'm kind of a little lazy for this one, and this random rock countdown, and I didn't bother to play with this one. But for the most part, as you can kind of imagine, no, we're not talking about Pink Floyd. We're talking about Deftones. And there was only 8 albums now thus far in their discography, and we'll be talking about all 8 of them, or at least where they fit from least favorable to most favorable, objectively, or subjectively, whatever word it works best for this. And yeah, starting off with number 8. Self-titled. I thought I was going to go into this one with a little more disdain, but with the next Random Rock Countdown, I think you'll understand why this is a little more liked now for me. But I still would not listen to this album in its entirety all that much. It's more this fact that it's just disappointing in potential. I mean, at the moment you start off with Hexagram, it's just a mess of a track. Just no matter how heavy it is, or loud for that matter, it's just a mess of a track. And it was honestly the album that, I think some fans who have felt a disdain for another album we will get to later, because this was the 4th album. You all know what the 3rd album is if you're a diehard Deftones fan, but it was just, for the most part, it was just a disappointment. It was probably the first big departure from what they were essentially doing. This was supposed to be the band's return to the most so-called heavier but really louder form, but it didn't live up to that at all. In fact, even White Pony fans were like, what the hell, But yeah, the best things you're going to get, pins and needles and pins, even though it should have just been called Pins and Needles from the way the lyrics are done, but they want it to be different, I guess. It's not until like Minerva where you start to see some of the good that is done with this. And it's the last album produced with Terry, that the band would co-produce with Terry Date. And it is kind of a disappointing one. And probably the last, other than a couple tracks from Team Sleep, probably the last thing that Deftones related, at least, that Terry Date has ever been involved in. And has barely even been involved in anything else that I'm aware of. So, just pretty well Bloody Cape, Battle Axe, Death Blow, Minerva. Pretty well the most memorable tracks on this album. Everything else is just kind of like a hit and miss. And it's definitely not the album to start getting people interested in this band. It might have been good enough for like the Screamo kids, but who cares about what they have to think anymore? Moving on to a slightly better album that improved upon and kind of went back to the White Pony-ish stuff, and that was with Saturday Night Wrist. Now I'm going to move this up a little bit. Can you see it now? Anyway. So, Saturday Night Wrist, the thing is, after the self-titled, I never really bothered to hear anything else from Deftones. I've heard, pretty well the opening track and lead single, Hole in the Earth, and that is a good track. I've heard Cherry Raisin, knew I kind of liked it. I heard Mean, and I was like, yeah, it's not the best collaboration. No offense to Serge Tankian of System of a Down. He's good. He's good. Good. But, no. You ain't no Maynard, man. You ain't no Maynard. Hell, we found out later that they could bring up a better collaboration that could be as close to what we're ever going to get to a Maynard level awesomeness of collaboration. But yeah, I mean, this album, Rapture, Rats, and well, it's mostly those in terms of them being like legit. Yeah, legit Deftones tracks, whereas Pink Cell Phone should have been a Team Sleep track, I guess, in a way. I think that's why most fans are a little pissed off about it. But yeah, it's pretty well holding your Cherry Waves. Even the one instrumental track that's pretty well Konami code. We're just gonna call it Konami code because it's pretty well just UUDDLLRLRAB start or whatever. Yeah. There's not much else I can really say about this, and I have my reasons for that. But moving on to where things start to really become a heated discussion that will definitely be in the comments below if anyone bothers to watch this video and pay attention and is a diehard Deftones fan. And this is where things got tough for the next 6 of them, except for maybe the final 2. But yeah. And it's still, it may interchange here and there, except for maybe the final 2. But number 6, where it started it all, Adrenaline. There's not much I can say. It's not a bad debut, but I mean, sometimes it can get a little outdated, and every so often some tracks do come off. I mean, Bored is still kind of a classic. 7 Words is still kind of a classic. But I think Birthmark has like some of the best known like outro, like bridge to outro riffs or whatever. And it definitely feels a lot. It definitely still feels dated in terms of like the more nu metal-esque style, but it is still a good, solid piece of work. It helped pretty well set up the template for future Deftones albums, and it does deserve to at least have a higher and better spot than the previous 2 albums, which were kind of during the era where people weren't sure what to think of them. In fact, the fact I'm putting this up here over some of the other albums I'm about to put on here may cause some frustration to some people, but then again, they know that those albums made it up to us from the past couple albums I had mentioned on this list, which includes the latest of albums, not the newest, Kono Yoken. I'm trying to remember the Persistence of Love or something. I'm not sure if I got the Perseverance of Love. I don't remember. But it's not a bad record. The second album to feature Sergo Vera from Quicksand, who replaced fill in for Chi Chen, at least at the time. May he rest his souls. In fact, his accident was what really, in my opinion, brought some life and energy back into the band. With his arrival and then moving forward and moving on. I will get to that part a little bit later with this, but I mean, sort of tracks like, it does eventually get stale after a while, here and there, or at least a little bit after Tempest. This with the other 4 tracks, but the other 4 tracks, though good, I could see why some people would find it as if the band were starting to get a little bit stale. Just a little bit stale. And this would have been a lot more fun if I had just moving on next one, but I had a lot more fun if I could have just played some riffs. Which is why the next one's going to be a lot more fun, guys. Moving on, this is when I wanted to really debate, because But the fact this is like in top 4 out of 8 should say something about this. And maybe if you want me to, review any of these albums, including the new one, separately, and have a little more depth talk, leave down comments below. I'll probably mention it later in the video as well, just in case if you haven't heard already. But yeah. Gentlemen, number 4. Gore! 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 Yes. It's pretty damn good. To make their debut and their recent album somehow. Especially with the Saturday Night Risk comparison. I mean, I'm putting this up higher than this record, even though they kind of technically relied on Saturday Night Risk, as well as the album I will mention later after this one. But yes. You move them, Yuki. But Gore. I mean, this album's... the start off lead single, Prayers Triangles. I didn't mind the track. I do feel as though this album does kind of go to the Saturday Night Risk style, but also comes off a bit like Palms, his other project. If you see me looking at on my laptop, you will probably see that in my background. Or the family laptop, I guess. But yes. This is nice. The weakest tracks, honestly, have been Acid Hologram and Geometric Headdress. Other than that, every other track on this album is worth noting, really. It really is. In fact, eventually, by the end of this, I wasn't able to honestly get into it, though, at first. But that was because I was super fucking tired. But even so, I wished this album was good enough to do that. I realized you did need a clearer head in order to digest this. It's not a heady record necessarily, but it's definitely not you have to be fully awake and aware when you listen to this album the first time. Whereas the last record you didn't have to, because you could go mostly off of the record I will mention next after this one. But dude, and the thing about this record that I had mentioned earlier with Saturday Night Risk was how that collaboration with Serj Tankian on Mean was, and of course I forgot even the Pink Cell Phone one, whatever. This was this track right here, Phantom Bride. Jerry Cantrell finally redeems himself after fucking Devil Put Dinosaurs Here. The shitstorm that was. God, I thought they learned after what happened with 3. House of Chains, you fuckers. But anyway. However, I feel like with Hearts and Wires, though a longer track, it definitely is what Prayers and Triangles kind of was, but the non-single type version, but, a little more extensive and shows a little bit more of Stephen Carpenter's lead work. And that he can pull out the solos, and that, the whole thing with the Leonard Skinner cover that's on the B-Sides and Rarities isn't a one-trick pony thing. It works. And this leak thing I seen the other day is full of shit. That's not what Xenon is. In fact, by the time I had listened to the second time, it's actually better, a little bit better than that. If anything, that just served as almost like maybe leftover pieces that were from the album. It wasn't really a leak of the track as so much. It was just a leak of ideas that never fucking made the cut for the album, I think. And they just put it up as Xenon just to get fucking attention. Douchebags. Not banned, but whoever put that video up was telling me it was a leak. Fucking fell for it. But yes, I mean, of course, the heavy tracks like Doomed User, the title track, as it should be. If you're gonna have a track called Gore anyway, despite the album cover here, you're gonna need to heavy it up a bit. Lemiro is one of the tracks in here, which means let's meet in real life. It's slang for that, so you know. And yeah, I would talk a little more in depth on this one maybe later, but that all depends on if you want to vote for this one for me to talk about. But I will definitely say, actually, since this is a new one, and you might as well, in case it's not, that's where this little bad boy's going. Right up there. Second. However, it's not as... Is it as good as the ones that's my top three? Well, that's where my number 3 is going to maybe stir up some stuff, but honestly, of the post-White Pony era stuff, Domino's, baby. I mean, the album that basically will bring back some level of faith in Deftones fans about an album I will mention at my number 2 that fans were just wanted that back. But you could tell that there's some little White Pony-ish elements. But I feel like this album could have gotten people, is what self-titled should have been at that time, but wasn't. Or at least that album could have been better executed and maybe would have understood it a little bit, but no. Diamond Eyes makes up for it big time. It's still straightforward. It's not, some people say one-dimensional. I just say it's just straightforward. No, it's not one-dimensional. It's a little more straightforward, and there's more stuff, and there's softer tracks going on this record too. I mean, for sick, dude. If I got, dude, hell, the tracks Beauty School and mixtape, especially sex tape, I would use as a way to soundtrack for the deed, if needed. Definitely is one of those things that would definitely put her in the mood. Know what I'm saying? Alright. But yes, the title track wasn't a bad opener. Royal and Managed Control. A lot of, for the most part, just out of the gate, just hit, heavy hit. It's heavy hit, especially from Royal into Command and Control. Especially the riffs on that. Just the pacing of it in between the vocal takes, and it's just heavy, visceral, and it works. It matches up well. It's just, this is about as, and I mean, Rocket Skates proved and saw you was the first. It was, I'm glad that was technically the first single, and I'm ashamed that the point were idiots and didn't release this track first, because if they did, I think this album would have gained a lot more momentum around these parts just off of that track, because son of a bitch, it's a good heavy song that pretty well proves that they still got it in them to do it, to just bring it, and this album proved they could do it all the way through and make a solid release, to the point where I was actually debating on whether or not I wanted to put this above that album, but thinking about it, that album feels more outdated, and this one doesn't. This one still holds up. In fact, Kono Yokin was good, but it wasn't as good, and Gore, debatably, for some people, was better. Oh yeah, Gore, over there. Dumbass. But yes. And this album I'll talk more in depth again. I'm going to be consistent about this every time. But yes. Definitely of the post White Pony releases, that is the album that I feel like will get people who missed my number 2 album a chance to go see it. And that number 2 is Round the Fur. Yes. Coming back around the fur. Yeah. See down his shirt and potentially anywhere else. If you look at the back, you might see a little toe. Okay. But yes, of course, the opening track. Hell, I wanted to do opening track on this one and Head Up. I mean, these riffs are pretty damn solid, but a lot of riffs on this record are still pretty damn solid, just as much as just Diamond Eyes has been as well. I mean, is it as heavy, super heavy, and as in your face as the way this record was? No, but for that album, proving that they can bring back some of that good heaviness that they had in their new metal flavor, while also retaining the shoegaze, which is what that one was. And this one was the first to do that, and I think people underestimate a band like Hum, because that, I think, was a huge, between that, Smashing Pumpkins, Weezer's Blue Album, and which I will get to talking about that stuff later in the next Random Rock Countdown, guys. And I'm going to actually have guitar return. Stay tuned for that. And another something else might make an appearance on that one. Check it out when I send it out. But yeah, of course, classics, My Own Summer, Shove It, Be Quiet and Drive Far Away. The title track on here. I mean, I still like a lot of these tracks. They're like very good, riff-worthy stuff. Pretty well thought out. Hell, actually, Head Up, I forgot. That's another good collaboration. Fumble. Alright. And it's Max Cavalera of then, at the time, was Sepultura, then Soulfly. And then I think eventually him and his one brother, who I think still is a part of Sepultura, came back together and formed the Cavalera Conspiracy or whatever, which for like a short period of time, I guess. But other than that, I mean, there's not much I can say currently about this album. I might go into more depth later. I'm already consistently talking about it. I don't care. Here, I'm giving you a chance to check all this out. And of course, that was number 2. Leads us to number 1. And that's where I might get most flack, but everybody else already knows that this is pretty well the solid and their biggest masterpiece that they've not yet been able to top. Not even this, not around the fur. The fur was that contender, but does get knocked out because this album does exist. Some people will hate me for it. Will hate me for it to a degree, but sorry guys, you know damn well this album's a masterpiece through and through. White Pony. White mother effing pony. And yes, this is the white cover version, which had to get that version at the time because I liked Back to School, guys. Mini Maggot, guys. I just did. And I do understand why some people who don't and understand, and especially the band themselves, because to some degree it can be considered a stupid song, but it's still a fun track anyway, you know? Oh, the fact that they're worse songs is still worth bothering to listen to and still have some fun with it, I guess. Compared to other stuff that was part of new metal or whatever. I mean, this entire album is worthy, and of course, one of the best collaborations that I could just sink my teeth into, like, literally. And that was, of course, Passenger with fucking Maynard James Keenan of Tool and APC. He was, in fact, working on APC at the time that he was involved in this collaboration, so that also played a part in what I guess people were expecting going into the debut, which was Mordenum's. Apologies. And yeah, I mean, despite some people saying like change House of Flies, I mean, Elite was already like a Grammy nominated heavy track, and it is a good one. I mean, the real thing is it's Feti Feticeria, I think is the name of the track, is what really supposed to start off the actual album itself. If you get like the gray covered version or the limited edition ones, which have a has a special hidden track after Pink Bag called Boys School, which I'm guessing is on the B-sides and rarities now. So, of course, Change the House of Flies, a lot of tracks. Hell, even Teenager, which was a track that was intended for the Team Sleep thing. And a lot of the Team Sleep stuff, of course, that he had ideas for, of course, led into this that we never even knew about until after this record was going to happen. There are a lot of good heavy tracks on here, and the thing is, the entire album, on a little more lyrical basis, is heavy. It's heavy. And that's the thing that bothers me, and why people bitched about this. It's not heavy enough. Bull fucking shit. It is a fucking heavy record. It's not loud enough is what you're fucking trying to say. Dumbasses. Because we know that's what you're really fucking trying to say when you say heavy. You don't say, you say heavy when you mean fucking loud. You don't, loud and gainy. Not fucking, not like fucking, and there's still some moments on here that does do that. And caters to that, but you can't even fucking enjoy that because of all the other shit. When you should. It's heavier in an atmospheric kind of way too. And this was the first album that, tried to get them to break away from being of the nu metal staple. And eventually they would. And it's really damn good. Yeah, I mean, it's still really damn good, and it still holds up well on all fronts. Still has one of my favorite collaborations they've ever had released. And when they do it live with other people outside of Maynard, you're gonna have to fucking impress me. Or without, for that matter. I'm like, no. But I likes Passenger, but not like that. Damn it. But yes. And that's it, guys. What are your thoughts? Where did they rank for you? You can leave that down in the comment below. And of the albums that you, on top of that, of the albums that you would rank, guys, out of all the albums you would want, which ones would you like me to review of these 8? Did you want me to review the new Gore record? Did you want me to review White Pony or Around the Fur or Adrenaline? Or do you want me to talk more in depth on why is by the self-titled just not that great? Whatever. Whatever works, guys. I mean, what did you think of this Downtown? I don't care. Do you miss the guitar? Do you not? Comment below. Time below and let me know. Sorry, Johns. Sorry, Jeremy Johns. I ripped you off for just a second. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, just sure to check out my Facebook page. Rock that like button if you liked this video, if you liked Deftones, if you liked any of these albums at all. The fact that I even bothered to give a somewhat as thorough as possible discography review through this countdown. Whatever. Just, I don't care. Just, if you're gonna burn on the hate, just don't do what people did to Chris Stuckman on Twitter, man. That's just fucking bullshit. Especially when it could, because you don't fuck with family. Never mess with the family. That's just not right. So you fuck with family, that's when we're gonna have a problem. All right. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's it, guys. And as always, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. And I'll see you in the next Random Rock Countdown, the next reviews, whether it be movie or music. Of course, the next one will be Weezer. And eventually, sometime later down the road, I will do something for the cult. I've been promising that too, and I kind of been putting it on the wayside, but I will eventually get to that one too. I know eventually Tremonti's coming up, and I'm hoping to do Weezer before then, but I don't know if that's really going to happen with the way scheduling is. And yeah, because it's kind of early morning here. Kind of just woke up and like, you know what? I may as well do this now and get this uploaded. Well, I still have time, so yeah. I'm sorry for lazy. But yes. Again, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking, and I'll see you guys next time.